So what I'm going to get started on right now is sanding this wall. This wall is completely dry. It had plenty of time to cure overnight, and I've got a 220 screen on my little sanding tool here. And these screens are cool because you can see through them and they allow that dust to pass through, and it doesn't gunk up or gum up as much as a regular piece of sanding paper versus a screen. So this is pretty flat. You can see our imperfections in our trowel lines, but those are all going to get sanded out. We laid enough of this stuff on here yesterday, a thick coat, so now when we sand it, we can just sand enough off of it to get a flat surface. And when it comes to sanding this stuff, you definitely want to wear a mask or a respirator because it makes a lot of dust. But the good thing about this tool, it doesn't just sling it everywhere. It's just going to pretty much fall. Now when it comes to actually using this thing and sanding with it, it's not like I want to put a lot of pressure on this like I'm washing a vehicle or something. I just want to let this thing do the work and lightly just graze over it. So you can see I've got some lines here. I can just lightly glaze over those. And those lines will slowly disappear. And essentially that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it so where all of our little imperfections are just slowly going away. And then, you know, I'm kind of working on this one spot as an example, but you kind of just want to, you know, not really dig a hole right here. You kind of just want to, you know, feather it around and get the whole surface. But hopefully the camera picked up those lines because now they're basically gone. And you guys can see how little of pressure I'm putting on this. And you can see our blue lines right here, and we've kind of got these trowel marks right here. So I'll just show you guys how quick I can erase that and how little pressure I'm using. And I'll hit it from different angles as well. And that should essentially be it for this spot. And if you look at it right there against the light, hopefully the camera can pick it up, but it's extremely smooth in this area. And this area up here where I kind of didn't do it, you can see the way this stuff dried in our trowel lines. It's really rough, but this thing just knocks it down really good, leaves a super fine surface. But essentially, that's sanding a wall down to a flush surface. While John is sanding that wall, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on my cut list that we made yesterday. Pretty convenient to have, so I can just get started, and we are in good shape. So what I'm gonna be using for my material is really basic. I've got a 1x6 piece of MDF, a piece of baseboard, the same kind I tore out yesterday, same profile, and then a bunch of 1x2s over there. And that's it. That's all we need for this project. Piece number 10, get into the double digits now. And I was just thinking, once I'm done with this, I can just copy it and just mail it out to you guys, and you could make the same cut list. Hey, I could even sell it as plans, like how those woodworkers do it. Buy my plans. Check the link in the description. And we are done. But I'm not so bold as to put the miter saw away yet. I know there's probably gonna be things that need to be trimmed, maybe even recut, so that's why I got so much more material. So maybe I'll get it first try, but it's highly unlikely. But I'm gonna leave this setup out here. But hopefully this is the last cut of the day, 24 inches. Talk about perfect timing, man. As soon as I make the last cut on my cut list, John walks out the door and says he's done with the wall. So it's going smooth, but that could change You guys who work in the field, you know, that could all change very quickly. But we're going smooth. Got my cut list here and got my corresponding numbers. And the circled numbers are the ones that correspond on the back of each piece. So like this one is piece number 14, and every piece has that number on the back of it. So these are the pieces right here. We're gonna take them inside and get started on our top rail, two vertical stiles on the sides, and then we'll put our bottom rail up against that. But I'm gonna bring them through the window over here because the room is right there. It'd be easier to take them through that window than to go through the house. He said he would let me drive it at lunchtime.
No way.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, if you want to, you can, the keys are hanging right there. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be funny. So to keep the base from kicking back in there, I cut these little blocks that just fit under here, and that'll prevent it from wanting, when we shoot it, that it's not going to want to tilt in. So now that we have the perimeter framed up, the corners, if you want to look at it like a puzzle, they're all done. We could start with this angled piece right here, number 6 on my chart, and that would be this one. And what's unique about this, even though we mapped this out exactly how we did yesterday, it doesn't have to necessarily be exactly where it was, because these 45s will fall where they need to fall. So if I lift this up here, if I'm flush here, which that's pretty much dead on right there. If I'm flush there and I'm flush there, which I am, then we can nail this in. The only tricky part about this is we need to make sure that in the middle here, since it's got flexibility, that it's not wobbling around. We want to try to keep that straight. And the other thing is, I'm going to be using CA glue, but since I have to glue 2 ends simultaneously, I'm not going to activate it. So that's one thing you can do, is you can just put the CA glue and then I can through nail it and it's going to hold. And when the glue cures, it'll be strong. I'm going to mark right here where I can put the glue. Number 7, this one needs to go right here in that corner and to here. It's a pretty dang good fit, guys. So right now I'm just tacking this thing up. We'll come back through, and wherever we can hit the studs, we'll just shoot the laser on it and make sure we hit the studs in that area. But my goal right now is just to get this thing up. I can put the glue here and let gravity work for me. And this one's going to be a little tricky because it's going to want to run down this slope, but I'll just put it up a little higher. So by the time I get there, it's run down where I want it. Heck yeah. That's another easy one. It'll just fall into place wherever these 2 angles are flush. Right there. And the shorter these pieces get, the less they want to flex. So this is good. Cool, we got our first little panel or section done. Looks pretty cool. I really like it. Which way should I go now? I'll fill in this area. 10, 11, in that order. So 8, 9, 10, 11. The whistle of approval. So the next step in this process is for me to go in that plastic booth and prime it, sand it, paint it. Then we'll tear this down and we'll have a finished product for you guys. Like my little microphone here? I feel like Bob Barker. Come on down, you're the next contestant. What's behind plastic number 1, Bob? All right, I'll go in the booth. All right, and that should do it. I'm just gonna use that air mover to help the last bit of paint dry. But that's pretty much it. That's how it's gonna look. Paint is not fully cured yet, but you get the idea. Got that nice eggshell sheen on it. And this one was a challenge. It has a lot going on, but using those methods of making that cut list and measuring everything beforehand, it really made for a really easy install. So let me know what you guys think of this one. But other than that, we are on to the next job.